Justification is on the same frequency as accusation. Accusatory people meet guilty people. And so if we feel the need to justify ourselves, it means that the vibrational frequency that we are holding, it's a frequency of guilt. And guilty to exist, guilty to have survived, guilty to be successful, guilty to be resourceful, guilty to be chosen, guilty to not be chosen anymore, etc., etc. So let's go to the forefathers and let's see where we can observe the seeds of these patterns by them. We have this principle that says Maaseh Avot Siman Labanim, all the actions of the forefathers and foremothers, they were a blueprint actually for their children. And so when we need to understand what happened in our, within our people, we go and look into the blueprint and we see what happened there. What is the origin of this one? What is the origin of this pattern? And let's see if we actually necessarily need to keep holding to that pattern, or is it possible that we actually could shift it, that we could change frequency and move into something else. And this is what I'm offering to do. It seems a little bit ambitious, but it's actually absolutely possible to do. And let me expose the theory, and I invite all of you, I challenge all of us to go into practice. Of course, the moment we are going to start doing this, we are going to be double challenged. We have to acknowledge that there are some forces in place that also have their part in the unfolding of history. And but I would like really to invite all of us to just explore our part, our little part, and do the best we can. We see that when Avraham and Sarah decided that Avraham would take Agar, his servant, to make a child, Ishmael. At this point, even though Avraham has already got the promise that Avraham and Sarah would get a child, they were already very old, and it didn't happen yet. And when Avraham had Ishmael with Agar, it is not improbable that both of them, Ishmael and Agar, started thinking that Ishmael was going to be the legitimate heir, would carry the legacy of Avraham, because the promise that was made to Avraham and Sarah was not fulfilled yet. And so when later on Yitzhak was born, we can understand somehow how this was not such good news for Ishmael, because suddenly he was not the only son of Avraham, and the promise of God to Avraham and Sarah was actually real. Somehow we can see how this has affected Yitzhak, because Yitzhak straight away, as soon as he was born, for Ishmael, he was guilty to exist, and he was just the moment he was born, he was already guilty. And we can see that in the descendant of Ishmael. We can see how through their history they always revindicate their real legitimacy over Yitzhak, and how they usurpate completely the identity of Yitzhak by doing a simple copy-paste. Everything that happened to Yitzhak, they say it happened to Ishmael. And so in the Quran, when you read the Quran, you just read the story of Ishmael when he was a young child, and everything that happened to Yitzhak happened to Ishmael. And so we understand from that attempt his place, and therefore, because he doesn't find his place, he's denying the place of his brother. So he's basically stealing his brother's identity and deny his place, because himself is looking for his own place and he doesn't know where is his own place. Even though later on Abraham gave, we see that he gave to the children of Hagar some important gifts and even spiritual heritage, spiritual secrets that he gave to the children of Hagar, and he sent them to the southeast, which is probably Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and possibly further away. But basically what Ishmael wanted was the place of Yitzhak. If we didn't have really the proof by reading the Quran and seeing that everything that happened to Yitzhak, they wrote it as something that happened to Ishmael, we wouldn't have a base to really affirm that. We would say that yes, there are signs of jealousy, but we have the historical fact that this is what has been played. And so we can see that from the moment Yitzhak was born, he had this, that he was guilty to exist. Now, is it because Ishmael imprinted on Yitzhak this guilt to exist that it necessarily affected Yitzhak? That is a very good question, and it's possible that Yitzhak has been affected because he was very young, because when this happened, Ishmael was already an older child and Yitzhak was still a baby, and so it's possible that this is a program that has been imprinted on Yitzhak, and that he has endorsed as something that was real, and therefore he started his life with this program. Now, unfortunately, we see that this program did not stop there. We see that when Yitzhak had Essav and Jacob, we see this battle again. Even though they were both of the same parents and they were both supposed to be the legitimate heirs of their parents, Essav, as a firstborn, was actually entitled to have, let's say, like the elder part of blessing, but Essav was not so interested in the spiritual aspect of the legacy. He still was interested in the spiritual light that would give him access to the material abundance. And the problem is that spiritual light was coming together with a contract that Abraham made with God, and he was not very interested in that part, and therefore he sold his bechorah, his right to the blessing that the firstborn is supposed to receive, to Yaakov. And when the time came to collect the blessings, he realized that the spiritual blessing would actually give him access to a lot of material blessing, and then he kind of regretted, and then he wanted very much to kill his brother for this deal that he regretted later on and was not happy with. Yaakov on his side was kind of pushed to take this blessing. It was not his intention to do it, but his mother Rivka knew that Esav was not going to use this spiritual force properly, and therefore she wanted Yaakov to be able to keep it, and so she pushed him to go and claim the rightful blessing that Essav sold him previously, and he was kind of convinced and pushed to go and claim it from his father. Now, did he regret later on to have agreed to this kind of arrangement, kind of forced by his mother? We don't exactly know. What we know is that he apparently he knew that his life was in danger, and when he comes back and he's bowing to Essav to ask for his forgiveness, what is the part of him that was actually really feeling guilty? What was the part of him that was just doing that to soften his brother? We don't exactly know. What we know is that the descendants of Yaakov do carry this wound, because they always have to justify that they did not steal the resources of other people around. And whether it is true or not, it doesn't matter, even if it's absolutely not true. How you are holding the frequency of this guilt accusation can only meet you if yourself you feel guilty, and therefore you also holding the frequency of self-accusation. Otherwise, even if someone comes and is very ill-intentioned and big liar or whatever, if you are not holding the frequency of self-accusation, you would not play his game. And so this is a very important notion, is that the only way to finish with the accusation is to look inward into the part of ourselves that is accusing ourselves, into the part of ourselves that feel guilty, into the part of ourselves that need to justify that we are not using the resources of others, that we have the right to exist, that we are good people. This is the only way to really finish with this, is to really go inside and do that shift deeply on a collective level. So we see that unfortunately this pattern kept carry on with the children of Yaakov. And so we know that this confusion has been introduced by Lavan on purpose to create confusion, and he gave Leah to Yaakov instead of Rachel. The fight kept going and going and going and going, and until today you can see this inner battle inside the Jewish people that is not so obvious. It's not so obvious today that it's a question of legitimacy, but we can see that there is an inner struggle about what is the right way to be Jewish. What does it mean to be Jewish today? Are you more Jewish than me? Are you less Jewish than me because you're doing this, because you're not doing that? So we can see that this imprint is going actually very, very far, and it is expressed within the Jewish nation and also outside of the Jewish nation. And nothing can come from outside. No attack can come from outside if inside there is a strong, stable base.